Hello and welcome to Biogas TV. I'm your host, Paul Green, where every Monday at noon, we're starting Biogas TV technical sessions next week on Thursdays at noon as well to talk about technology. So this is the number one streaming biogas TV live show in the world. I'm here with my co-host Alex McFarland of RNG Connect and Drew Puchot with Equus Energy, who leads our offtake roundup segment. Today we're on episode 4 of season 5. We're featuring fueling of vehicles with RNG as a more affordable approach to diesel fuel. We need to find more competitive homes for RNG. So with that, we're pleased to feature Mr. Bob Baldwin from RNG for America. Take note of his website at RNG, the number 4, America.com. Bob's a Houston-based 30-year veteran petroleum engineer, spent significant time with some of the highest profile oil companies. His focus now is on how to get small fleets and even homeowners to fuel their vehicles with RNG as a cheaper approach versus diesel. So with that, welcome to Biogas TV, Bob. How you
Thank
doing
you.
today?
I'm doing well. Thank you very much.
Yeah, good. Well, the floor is yours.
Okay, so as you said, I've got a petroleum engineering degree from Montana Tech and was involved with oil and gas industry for quite a long time. We wrote software for the oil and gas industry and had quite a footprint there. And then about 15 years ago, I started CNG for America rather than RNG for America, and we built 5 public stations to try to help us get off this foreign oil. And then, of course, the frack phenomenon came along, and we were able to. A lot of oil was produced and still is today because you hardly ever have a dry hole any longer because of the horizontal drilling and the fracking that goes on. And so we've done very well at becoming more energy uh, independent. And one of the side things with that is there's a lot of natural gas available. Uh, 300 years probably of natural gas that we've got in our country. And so we wanted to start utilizing a lot of that natural gas for vehicles. It's one of the few fuels that you can actually put into a vehicle. You can't put coal in a vehicle, you can't put nuclear into a vehicle, but you can put natural gas into a vehicle, and people have been doing it for years. But since that time, RNG, renewable natural gas, has started to take hold, which is primarily using biogas as the gas to be able to put into a vehicle. Let me just show you, I'm going to share my screen and show a picture here of the process that takes place. All right, you got that on the screen?
Yep.
Okay, so on the left over here is you've got livestock waste or forest crop waste, wastewater, food waste that goes into an anaerobic digester, which then can produce biogas. Or probably a little more common is actually landfill gas that they collect that just simply seeps out of the ground, but they're capturing it now and then putting it into a pipeline. And then that goes in as biogas, renewable natural gas. And from there, they clean it up and you can make a biomethane, which then can go into a vehicle. So with my public stations, we were selling about 50,000 GGEs, gasoline gallon equivalents, a month. And so this first took off in California because the state of California was offering incentives if you would use biogas or renewable natural gas for vehicles. And once those got saturated, they started looking for other CNG stations all across the country. And I started being called by renewable natural gas companies to see if they could sell me renewable natural gas instead of utility natural gas. And so the way it works is that a renewable natural gas place, such as maybe a landfill, is looking to put this gas into vehicles because then they can get renewable credits. And so they were looking for places like mine to put them into vehicles because that's all we do is put gas into vehicles. We're not putting it into homes or anything else but vehicles. And so uh, we started selling renewable natural gas probably 5 years ago, probably by now. And now we have a 3-year contract with a renewable natural gas company. And as I was working on this, I said, well, how do we get smaller users, the ability to have the ability to sell or have renewable natural gas benefits at their place? So it might be a small school district. It might be just simply a home user filling a Honda Civic. It could be a small business that had 10 pickups, maybe, or even somebody who might have a semi truck or two that they're filling at their own place. Well, renewable natural gas companies aren't really interested in those small customers because it is somewhat painful to work with the EPA in getting everything signed up and then have all the renewable credits separated for each of those small customers. So what I did is I started RNG for America. Let me see if I can pull that website up here for you. With RNG for America, you can take and pull that up for you. Oops, gotta put a G in there. With us, we just have a membership where you can sign up for a free membership and you can join for free and have the benefits of having renewable natural gas. So what we do is we combine everybody's volumes into one volume that we then sell to a renewable natural gas company. And then we distribute the funds to all the members once we get paid for that renewable natural gas usage. So, and you can see a similar deal here. We got a picture of an anaerobic digester going into biomethane, which then can go into a transportation. But this makes it so that anybody, any size, can get back a renewable credit. And right now, we're able to distribute about 35 cents per GGE for each user as a benefit coming back to them. So when you get natural gas out of your utility company for around $1, $1.25, you're going to get 35 cents back, which can be 65 cents to 90 cents per gallon for your ending price of your gas. So that's a significant benefit to a lot of people.
Transport, right, Bob?
Yeah, it has to be a vehicle. Okay, it can't be gas going into a house. So some of our customers actually have to install a separate meter just for their CNG vehicles so that we can validate that it is only going into vehicles. So I do have a picture here of a larger station just to kind of give you an idea. This is one that American Natural Gas had created. I think it's just an example of one that they had. So you've got a couple compressors over here and a lot of storage and a priority panel. And then you've got your dispensers and a canopy and lots of concrete or pavement. And these stations usually cost between $1.5 million to $3 million to build. So it's not for the faint of heart. And we had built 5 of these, and there was a lot of push to build public stations. And as we built them, we had a lot of customers coming to us. And as we went, a lot of these customers said, you know what, I think we can build this for ourselves. And they would go ahead and build their own station behind their own fence. And then we'd kind of lose those customers to having their own filling station behind the fence. So our stations, we've had to work very hard to keep them open because of that trend of people going and building their own stations, which is probably a great business decision for them, not quite as good for us. So as we have started to work with other customers, they said, hey, I live 50 miles away from a CNG station. I'd love to have a CNG vehicle. Can I put something in at my house or at my business? And so we took and started selling compressors similar to these here that have a small compressor, maybe a little bit of storage, and then they fill their truck or their van or their party bus. We just helped a guy over in Beaumont to have a small compressor for his party bus, and they all are getting renewable credits now because they've become members of RNG for America. And we just started with this in March. So we're just now going to be getting our first credit check here probably this week, and I'll be able to hand out about $1,500 back to these members for renewable natural gas credits. And I go ahead and take a share of this, and then I also give the compressor people who sell these compressors, I give them 10% because I want them to maintain these compressors and keep them running, and also recommend other customers. We estimate that there are probably between 1,000 and 1,500 of these small compressors running around in the country right now, and virtually none of them have renewable natural gas credits. And this allows them to very quickly sign up, and then we go through a validation process where I have them send me pictures like this of their system along with their meter, so I can register their meter number and keep that on hand so that I can prove to the EPA that this is a valid CNG facility, even if it's at a house.
So Bob, it seems like your innovation here is really the business model that you are able to aggregate these small demands
Yes.
and then bring that together and monetize it. And it's interesting because even a fast fill station, even a couple dozen fast fill stations, or a few fleets running on behind the meter or behind the fence, that doesn't really. It's still a small volume, right? And for
Yes.
contracting for
Right.
example, a whole biogas plant, right?
Yep.
Um, So even among some of the larger fueling operations, you probably yours included in it with your CNG station, you probably found that. So does this do you think there's an opportunity for um, just getting will this help the average fleet convert or drive demand for conversions this
We
model?
believe so. Yeah, we believe so because we started selling these Nardi compressors here this year. And one of the incentives that we've been proposing is that, hey, you can go ahead and buy this gas right out of your own pipeline. And then we can take and give you that 35 cents back approximately per gasoline gallon equivalent and give you really good incentive to go ahead and convert your vehicles over. A lot of people have real desire to use compressed natural gas. They see the benefits of it, but they don't have any stations nearby. And you typically need at least a pickup to do it because of the amount of fuel. You're going to go through 10 or 15 gallons every day. It's really wonderful if you've got something like a large bus or a semi, because it doesn't take long to pay off something like this with a large semi that's going through 100 gallons a day.
Yeah, we had wing fuel on, and it seems like that's a like his model of targeting these relatively smaller, smaller fleets and class. I guess it's class three to
Yep.
five
Yep.
vehicles. That's right. It seems like there's a lot of demand, the potential demand there, but it's tricky to monetize it.
Well,
Well,
and
so
there's quite a few people that own their own semi, and it's just theirs, and that's all they got is one semi. They're owner operators, and this gives them the ability to get involved in this where they couldn't before.
Bob, I know that you're familiar with Fury, but you mentioned to Paul and I a name the other day of Pickens, Seaboon Pickens, I believe it was.
Yep.
And I just kind of want to bring that up because I'm kind of curious a little bit more on the history side here. What led you in particular, and it sounds like you and Fury kind of around the same time to CNG of all things. I mean,
Yeah.
you mentioned energy independence could have gone, ethanol or
Yeah.
biodiesel. What
Right.
picked out CNG for you?
Well, it was Pickens, T. Boone Pickens, that was the great motivator for me. Me being a petroleum engineer, and at that time in 2010, when I first was looking at this, we were importing 65% of our oil into our country, and and it was only getting worse at that point. The whole fracking trend had not started until around that time, and so we didn't have the ability to really to get a lot more oil wells quickly until that started to take place. And so I was very
Mhm.
concerned about my kids and grandkids. What are they going to use for fuel? Because it felt like we were running out. And with
You
that
remember
fracking
peak
revolution, it
oil, right?
changed.
Everyone was talking about peak oil
Right, they were talking about peak oil.
and
That's
the
correct.
Pickens plan and all that. Yep.
And so I actually got to meet T Boone one day and shake his hand and thank him for his efforts, because he kind of started this whole thing. And hey, look, if we can just convert all of the semis in the country to CNG, we will be energy independent. Well, we've got a reasonable start on that, but we've got a long ways to go on that. And there's a lot of things that we have to do to really make that happen. We're going to have a lot more CNG stations to make that happen. Right now, the ideal situation is a semi or a box truck or delivery vehicles that always do the same route every day, come back to their home station and fill up every night. Right now I'm working with a company that has tour buses, and they have a full size, huge CNG tour bus, but they can't really use it right now because the CNG stations aren't very easy for them to get to. And for them to go ahead and fill their CNG tour bus with 100 gallons every night at their own place for $1 a gallon is very attractive to them. So we're actually working with CenterPoint to put in a location there for them. Then to get 35 cents back every day per gallon, that's pretty significant.
So this storage you're showing here, do you need storage if that's just for a fast fill, right? If you're a slow fill, you wouldn't need to have that storage. Is that correct?
Yeah, so that the storage just actually makes it so that if you need to, you can come back in the middle of the day, hook up your hose, it will dump a bunch of gas into your vehicle, and you can take right off again. If you're coming back every night, let's say your vehicle comes back at 6 or 7 o'clock at night, and you hook up the hose, you leave at 6 in the morning, you've got 11 or 12 hours to fill. If it does, I think this particular compressor on the right probably does 2 gallons an hour. So it can do, 24 gallons in 10 hours. So, and it's nice too, because you actually get more fuel into your tank using a slow fill versus a fast fill. And so the fast fill, when you're filling up at a station, that compressor's pushing that gas in there and it goes in hot, where this keeps it cool, and you're able to get probably 10 to 15% more into your tank when it's full. We're helping some school districts do this as well. So I've just got 2 school districts signed up. We're probably going to be able to distribute in this next check to them, that probably this week, I'm hoping, $1,000 to them. I mean, that's pretty significant for them, So, and I've got another one that's probably going to get around $3,000 a month. So it's, for them, it's a wonderful thing, because all they have to do is tell me how much they used.
So the math is simple, right? So if, let's say, somebody's paying $10 an MMBTU for natural gas to their front door, that's $10, and then I would multiply that times 139,000 BTUs in a diesel gallon equivalent.
Yeah.
Divide that by a million BTUs at an MMBTU. So I'm getting like $10 an MMBTU is about $1.39 a gallon equivalent, and then you're taking your 35 cents off of that. So I mean that's
Yep,
really exciting, right? If you got
it
diesel at
is.
$5 and you got CNG at $1, I mean that's exciting.
And then the pretty nifty thing about this is that you actually have a negative carbon footprint because when you're collecting the gas at a landfill, if you were not collecting it, you're polluting the air with the landfill. Now you're capturing it, putting it into a vehicle, which is a cleaner vehicle, and so it's a double reduction in your pollution, and so you end up with a negative carbon footprint with an RNG vehicle.
But a quick timeout on RNG, right? The math I just ran was say CNG, fossil gas at $10. So if we're trying to peddle RNG at $25, the net effective price per gallon would be 2x that, or do you have a model where you can get RNG for a dollar?
Well, the RNG we're not actually paying for. We're getting a credit to use it because it's the large polluters in the country that are paying for those credits. So a large factory that's maybe putting out lots of pollution, they buy the credits to offset their pollution, and then we get to benefit of those credits.
It's the D3 RIN.
Yes,
If
that's
you're
correct.
so if it's mostly landfill gas, that would be the D3 RIN that's selling for whatever, $3 a unit, 280 a unit. Got it.
So that we're benefiting from the fact that people are paying to offset their pollution. So this
This house
allows
we're looking
us.
at here, all this house knows is that they have natural gas service, right? They don't know if it's brown gas or RNG coming into their place of
That's
business
correct.
or their home, right?
Yeah, and that they actually don't have it come into their home. We're just exchanging it on a piece of paper. So the landfill may be in Illinois, and we're exchanging the renewable natural gas that's going in the pipeline in Illinois, going into our facility here in Katy, Texas, or wherever you're at. And I've got customers already, members, I shouldn't say customers, members of RNG for America that are in Salt Lake City, in Georgia, in Oklahoma, here in Texas. And so they can be anywhere in the country, and we're just simply exchanging on paper the utility gas, the molecules that are going in from our utility, like CenterPoint, and putting it and exchanging it with that renewable natural gas coming out of a landfill in Illinois or wherever that landfill is at.
This seems like a great option for any sort of return to base fleet. You know,
Yeah.
the fleets that RNG producers are chasing tend to be the larger ones. You know, we would all love to have a contract with the UPS or
Wouldn't
Walmart or
you?
something like that, right?
Yes.
You know, there's a lot more there's a lot of independent trucking out there. I mean, it's a very large market and kind of difficult to access, or
Yeah.
at least give them the, you know, the win-win of a lower fuel cost and a green, you know, a renewable fuel.
Bob, a question
Um,
came in.
yeah.
Oh, sorry.
No, I'm just asking, um, what is your strategy to go after these fleets, right? Like, you know, now that we've got a better engine with the X15N, are you looking at that? Are you looking these at the semis?
Well, uh, we're still trying to learn how to get in touch with some of these fleets. Right now, I am contacting the people that sell these smaller compressors and saying, "Look, hey, I'll give you a little bit if you'll recommend your customers to come to RG for America and sign up. All you have to do is ask them to sign up. They get the benefit of it, and you'll get a little bit of benefit. And with 10 customers, or even with 5 customers, they're getting the same amount that the individuals are getting. So, and all they have to do is recommend them. So we're trying to find people who are CNG engineers, compressor sales people that I know. I think Fury probably has installed like 600 of these small compressors. So we'd love to have something like that. I suspect he's probably going to be doing his own thing with this, but we've got others in the country that are selling these small compressors as well. And they can benefit because they're recommending this to their customers, which keeps their customers too. You know, that they're going to continue to buy these compressors even when they wear out because of the benefit.
Jeff, a question came in, Bob. Is RNG for America working with any partners to help drive the diesel to CNG conversion? Is that Fury or you have others?
Well, yeah. So there are a couple, probably 4 or 5 larger companies that do these RNG conversions, or not RNG, but diesel conversions where it's a dual fuel, not a bifuel. So bifuel is where you've got gasoline and CNG, and it switches to them 100%. So I've got 2 CNG vehicles right outside my house here, and they have a pickup, a Silverado pickup. It runs 100% on CNG until it runs out. Then it just switches to gasoline. I don't have to worry about range issues. For a diesel truck, they do a blended where they actually inject CNG along with the diesel flow going into the engine. And as Fury had mentioned, it replaces 30 to 40% of the diesel fuel they're using. And if they run out of CNG and they're on the road, no big deal. They're a diesel truck. So it's the easiest of the conversions is to do those diesel trucks that way. And it's a simple installation.
Another question, at what point does the volume grow large enough to require a larger meter and regulator from the local LDC provider?
Yeah, that's a good question. It is better if I think probably if you're going to be doing, I would say, over 50 gallons a day, you're probably going to want to have a separate meter from the utility that's just their meter that you'll have to ask them to install it. And usually, a lot of times they'll do that for free. They want to sell the gas too. So
Right.
they'll usually do that for free. For smaller customers, we found these reliable small meters that we just attach as a sub meter, and then they report the meter reading to me each month.
Okay.
Pretty simple.
One question,
Yeah.
just a follow up here. Bob, you mentioned this, is it the dual fuel where it's diesel and then and you're doing, and that's injection into the air side, right? So you're just doing CNG blending on the into the air intake essentially, right?
Yeah, and I think
And
there's
reducing
different
diesel.
ways that they actually inject it, but yeah, I
Okay.
believe
Or you
what you're talking
co-inject
about.
it with diesel. But I mean, that to me, when we talked about it, that to me seems like the fastest and easiest thing, right? That
Yeah.
is something that your existing engine, right? Your existing truck,
Yep.
it's just a little kit that you're slapping on your truck,
Yep.
and it's instant savings, right? I mean,
Yep. And it's
that
the
to me,
cheapest conversion.
it's a very cheap conversion. It's just the tank and some doodads in your engine, right? So
Yeah.
um, yeah, I'd love to see more of that happening because it seems like that's the fastest way to get a lot more trucks using CNG.
Yeah. And it does not disrupt the engine in any way in the sense that when you're done with that truck, you can actually just take off the engine, take off that injection system, and again, it's just a diesel engine again. It's not, you're not really changing any of the engine.
Not a big
Where
decision.
if you really convert it to CNG, you have to actually change the heads, put in spark plugs, and all of that, which has not been very successful. The Cummins engines that they have out right now that are full CNG engines, those are wonderful, but they do cost more. So a CNG truck is probably $60,000 or $70,000 more than a regular diesel truck because they're putting a lot more tanks on there because that's the only fuel that's on there.
Well, good stuff, Bob. We're at time here. Did you have any kind of final remarks before we start moving along? This is wonderful.
Yeah, I just think that we need to continue down this road of trying to utilize as much of of the natural gas that we can for transportation. I've been kind of disappointed that so many electric power plants have been converted to natural gas because again, we have the ability to go with nuclear, we have the ability to go with coal still, and natural gas is one of the only fuels you can use for a vehicle, along with gasoline, diesel, and electricity, which again has to be powered through some method.
Yeah, good. All right, so people can find you at RNG, the number 4 America, rngforamerica.com. Reach
Yep.
out to Bob if he can help you out on any of your fleet work. So thank
Yep.
you again, Bob, for joining Biogas TV. We'll let you run more time. And Drew, do you have an offtake roundup for us today?
Not a lot changed since the last week.
All right.
RIN prices still around 266. LCFS prices still around 72, 72.50. But that's a good thing. So we are seeing a little bit of an uptick on the offtake side. It looks like there's significantly more demand right now for shorter term and uh, immediate delivery. So that is going to help support pricing on the longer term contracts. And what you'll see is when a lot of buyers come into the market saying, "Hey, I need RNG tomorrow. For an offtake, I need somebody who can deliver me RNG tomorrow. I only need it for about a year, maybe 2 years. I could stretch that out to 3 to make it a little bit more attractive if needed." But that kind of demand is what supports these long-term offtakes, because when producers say, "Hey, look, 1 year doesn't really do much for me," especially when you're trying to look for a decent discount, the big credit-worthy buyers start saying, "Okay, well, why don't we just do a 10-year offtake? Because it's still going to be valuable for us for that term, and the risk has gotten lower, and we know that we're going to have this demand because we're seeing all this short-term demand. So we'll start doing these longer-term offtakes again, and that's really supportive for the market." I think that's going to push prices up a couple dollars here over the course of the rest of this year, and we are seeing some 2028 demand. So hopefully that should really start to turn things around.
Okay. Good stuff. Thanks, Drew. So that's our show for this week. Next week, we continue our season 5 for fueling vehicles with Centerpoint on the show. So we'll let you run. Everybody have a wonderful week. Bob, thanks again for joining us. Alex,
You're welcome.
Drew, be well. We'll see you guys.